So we all know power is based on a drug game where every single action has a consequence, and where the fate of those in the game is either death or jail, with many innocent lives being impacted on this quest for power. And one of those ended up being Elisa Marie because of who Joe Proctor was and who he was tangled up with.
I love you so much, baby, okay?
Proctor!
But even with the death of loved ones like Uncle Benny and her father, Elisa Marie showed us she was someone who understood the game, why Tommy did what he did, and she showed us little sign of emotion, because she had no choice but to be strong, something Aunt Dolores was trying to teach. But even with Proctor now dead and the recording now gone, the story with Elisa Marie isn't over, especially with how Tommy said he'd understand if she came to see him one day. But Power Season 6 Episode 13 was riddled with so many hidden clues and foreshadows. For example, there was Blanca Rodriguez telling Tommy she had special handcuffs for him, something which I dissected in this video. But the same could be said about Elisa Marie, which is why I think we're destined to see her return, just like Blanca Rodriguez. But the question is, will it be on Power Book 4 Force or will it be on Power Book 2 Ghost? Because even though Corny Kemp has teased it's more likely to happen on Force because of the relationship and clues they left in 613, I really think we could make a case for both. But let's set the foundation so we can understand who Elisa Marie is, how she suffered so much pain and loss, and how exactly Tommy came to bond with someone who reminded him of Cash, but also how he saw a reflection of himself in Elisa Marie as well. Now, Elisa Marie was introduced in Season 4 of Power, when she wound up in the middle of a custody battle between Lindsay and Joe Proctor, and one of the hardest things for a young child is to be in the middle of a battle between their parents, because they're the ones who end up suffering, especially when they're being asked to choose between them at such a young age. But Elisa Marie had no choice but to be strong, because she came from a family who has ties to Mafia. Her father was involved in the game because he protected criminals like Ghost and Tommy, but she also found herself overhearing Proctor telling Benny she let Lindsay die from an overdose. But instead of hating her father for what he did, she understood he was protecting her, and that's what Proctor did.
And my life has turned into a fucking hell because I care enough to protect you. Well, listen.
And this really does epitomize who Proctor was. He let his life turn to hell because he cared enough to protect people like Ghost and Tommy, and he definitely put his neck on the line for them time and time again, at the risk of his career and life, which is why he made sure he had an insurance policy. So before Proctor died, he left Elisa Marie a present. It was the recording of Tommy admitting to Ruiz him and Ghost killed Felipe Lobos before he gave him the stabby stab. And although Elisa Marie was hurt by her father's death, she really did show us a tough exterior of someone who knows how to handle pain and someone who actually understood the game at such a young age, even younger than someone like Tariq. And then we had Aunt Dolores telling her niece a story of how she was the youngest of 4, along with being the only girl, but her mother always told her she was going to be smarter and braver than all of her brothers combined. But as a woman, she had to pretend she wasn't scared, because the strength in a woman in families is the reason why they survive. And she was teaching Elisa Marie she needed to be strong because of how she said she was scared of Tommy. But this is something Elisa Marie already knew growing up, because she worked out Proctor had something to do with Tommy, which is why she killed him. She was also smart enough to realize James St. Patrick wasn't involved, because he was the only one Proctor trusted. She was also smart enough to know Uncle Benny was dead, because she knew the system, proof of life every hour on the hour, and Uncle Benny hadn't texted back since last night. But all of this and Tariq telling Tommy there was still a recording of him led to Tommy taking Elisa Marie and trying to use her as a bargaining chip for the recording. But it didn't go quite as Tommy planned. He left her with Kay, who planted the first seed about how she's just like Cash. And this led to an unlikely bond between Elisa Marie and Tommy. After she found the ring he was going to give to Cash's mom, Lakeisha. And we heard Elisa Marie make reference to how her mom died as well. And as Tommy was silent for the first time in a while, he realized there was a lot of similarities between himself and Elisa Marie. Both moms were junkies. She even said she misses her ring more than her mom, which I'm going to come back to in just a moment. But this definitely brought back memories of Holly and Lakeisha for Tommy. But where they've also felt the pain of loss of loved ones, you could add both their fathers to the list as well. And the conversation between Tommy and Elisa Marie really was deep.
It's like I'm all alone in this world.
It was also a conversation that led Tommy telling Elisa Marie she's not alone in this world, and she still had her Aunt Dolores. But you could tell Tommy sort of saw a reflection of himself as well as Cash in Elisa Marie because of what they've been through, and I really thought this would lead to a quite poetic moment of Tommy leaving her with the ring he bought for Lakeisha, because during their conversation Elisa Marie did make reference to the ring that Proctor bought for Lindsay and how much she wanted that ring if she ever got married. But she pawned the ring to get high, a story which Tommy would have heard plenty of times with his own mom. But it really would have been quite poetic if Tommy did give her the ring he bought for Lakeisha after the conversation they just had. But who knows, maybe this will happen in the future because I'm sure this is something he still treasures.
But if you want to come and see me about it someday, I'll understand.
So this leads us on to the final conversation between them, where Elisa Marie admitted she knows he's the one, with Tommy saying he'll understand if she wants to come see him one day, and this is something I definitely think could happen in force. But as of right now, Tommy's got so many problems of his own, where he needs to start from scratch once again in Chicago, because he's just lost Liliana, as well as his main product Dahlia. So Tommy's got plenty of issues to deal with before we get to him being reunited with Elisa Marie, but it is something Tommy should be expecting at some point in the future. But what about Elisa Marie and Tariq St. Patrick?
My blood's on you too. Have you checked on Elisa Marie since you made her an orphan?
So Tariq was the one who took Elisa Marie out of the penthouse suite and left the door open for Tommy to come in and kill Proctor. And Aunt Dolores made it clear Tariq isn't your friend. And she did realize this when Tommy said Tariq was the reason he found her, which is when it dawned on her how much Tariq lied. And if Tariq lied about not knowing who Tommy was, she would have also pieced together he was the one who left the back door open. But as we looked at the similarities between Tommy and Elisa Marie, the same could be said about Tariq and Elisa Marie as well. She said she was all alone in this world where she lost her mom, her dad, and Uncle Benny, and she loses everybody she loves, and so does Tariq. He ends up hurting everybody that gets close to him. But it does have to be said, Tariq has brought a lot of this shit on himself, whereas Elisa Marie is innocent. So where a lot of the blame can be thrown in Tommy's direction for Proctor's death, Elisa Marie is smart enough to know Tariq was never her friend, and if it wasn't for him leaving the back door open, her father would have still been alive. So I guess you could say you could really make a case of Elisa Marie coming back for revenge on Tariq at some point in the future. And linking this back into my two previous videos, there's going to be a big shift around season 5. And although I think it will center around Tariq deciding between the boardroom and the streets, Elisa Marie returning for revenge really can't be overlooked. Just look at how fast Tariq St. Patrick grew from season 1 of Power to now in Power Book 2 Ghost, and the same could be said about Elisa Marie if and when she returns in season 4, 5 or 6. And with Corny Kemp teasing Power could go on to season 10 with this big shift, could Elisa Marie be involved in this big shift? So with that being said, drop all your thoughts down below on Elisa Marie's return and whether or not you see her coming back either on Power Book 4 Force and reuniting with Tommy, or whether you see her coming back for revenge for Tariq. So drop all your thoughts down below on all things Elisa Marie, Tommy, and Tariq. And of course, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 2 Ghost and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.